Hey everybody, Kenny Jr. here and welcome back to Stick to Games. In today's episode, we're going to be employing double strokes throughout the entire drum set. For today's track, we're going to be using something called the Chromatic Star, otherwise known as the Neostar, from Kirby 64 and the Crystal Shards. The part as written uses the hi-hat, the snare, and the kick to play double strokes all throughout the piece. Needless to say, we're going to be going over some double stroke techniques, particularly with the feet. So if you're interested in learning how to make your doubles more effective across your limbs, let's take it to the set. The first part of the piece opens up with some dramatic cues, and already we are off to the races with some doubles. Now, it should be noted that the notation here does not do anything to explicitly state doubles, but the tempo of the piece combined with the required maneuverability makes doubles a way easier method to accomplish the goal rather than going all singles. So after a solo crash, we bring the left hand down on our snare with a quick double stroke on the hi-hat and the right hand, then back to the snare with 2 single strokes from the left and the right respectively, followed by 3 alternating double strokes starting on the left. Immediately following that, we get into the main groove. The part essentially repeats a 2-bar pattern 3.5 times, and then on the final part, there is a slight variation where the snare receives another double stroke. Now, notice how the snare lands on the 3, making this a half-time groove, which is also quite novel. So similarly to when we studied single stroke patterns back in my Mega Man X episode, the idea with performing double strokes is that you want them to be nice and even sounding and evenly spaced whenever you perform them. So there's a couple of good exercises you can use to warm up before you prepare to play a piece similar to this. One of the warm-ups that I like to use is something that I've always known as the chicken on a roll. Any of you that have seen the 2002 Drumline movie, this is the same exercise from there, very similar one. Maybe you've also heard it called chicken on a roll. Maybe you call it something else. Maybe you've never even heard of it. But it's a great exercise regardless. And the beauty of this exercise is that it focuses on keeping the same motion whether you're using singles or doubles. Another great exercise to use for practicing your doubles is diddle permutations. That is the idea of putting a diddle on a 16-bar grid and shifting the diddles across your different hands across the different counts on that 16 beat. And now, let's see how these doubles sound in our part. In your 2-bar main pattern, use both hands on the hi-hat, bringing the right hand down for the snare on 3. The first beat of the pattern has the right hand playing the double, then immediately after the snare, the left hand leads a set of doubles until the downbeat of the next bar. In bar 2 of the main pattern, it is almost identical, but the difference is that you do not have a double stroke on the initial downbeat, so it will simply play it straight until the left hand leads after the snare again, and this will be the repeated pattern. And then the last part concerning the hands will be the fill measure, where, again, it is basically identical to the other part, but this time, during the doubles, the right hand will stay on the snare. The kick part is simple enough, and I'm sure you already took notice of the 16th notes in the kick at the end of the second bar. Even this could be attainable with single stroke on the double pedal, but again, doubles just make this feel a bit smoother and you can feel the beat a bit better. The single kick attacks on the downbeats and the upbeats. In isolation, it's actually pretty straightforward. Now that part right there, the doubles, that's what we're gonna zero in on. I've been trying to perfect, or I really should say figure out how to even do double strokes in the feet ever since I got my first set of double pedals. It's just been a skill that's always eluded me despite many hours of practice. That all changed when I watched this video by drummer Tamaira, who broke it down in a different way. The main takeaway of his teachings was essentially to drop the heel. And after a few repetitions, I realized that the idea is to keep the legs doing the same motion over and over again, just like in the hands. It sounds so elementary now that I'm saying it out loud, but that is the secret of getting some nice and good double strokes in your kick drums. Similarly to the hands, we can use the same exercises, the chicken on a roll and the diddle permutations, to practice it. So to perform the diddle permutation, you'll do it pretty much the exact same way like we did the hands. Start off with straight alternating 16th notes, then drop the heel on the first stroke of each 16th note 4 times in a row. After that, drop the heel on the second stroke, which puts the double on the left, and the third beat, and then finally the fourth beat. And then you can find all kinds of other combinations to drop the heel. Now, this does sort of rely on using that heel up method for your initial strokes. So if you are a heel downer, you're going to want to practice getting used to using the heel up method, at least for this particular strategy. I am keeping my heels up when doing the straight kicks, and when I'm ready for my double, I essentially fall with the heel first, drop the heel. This makes getting a natural rebound effortless. And this was a great exercise for getting me started, particularly getting my left foot used to double strokes. For this piece though, I knew I needed consecutive doubles, so let's go back to that chicken on a roll. And now that you've practiced all of that and you've gotten a good feel for doubles in your hands and in your feet, now it's time to attempt the part as written. It was very satisfying for me to be able to replicate this part of the song that I've been fond of ever since I was a little gamer, and I've had the pleasure of sharing that with a whole lot of friends of mine. So, for today's playthrough, we are going to perform another arrangement of mine where you will hear me utilizing the double strokes throughout the part, including a couple of improvised fills. So, if you are ready for hear all of this come together, let's take it from the top.